motion we put on that? Okay, at this time, I'll ask for a motion and a second on administrative items.
I'll move.
Second. Wilkerson. Okay, Trish?
Item A, an agreement with Piper Jaffray and Company to advise and assist the board in financial matters relating to the issuance and sale of any general obligation bonds according to the terms of the agreement. And that agreement is attached. I think Mr. Wilkerson had wanted us to have an attorney to look at that, and we did. Did you have any other comments
No
regarding?
concerns at all from Ed McDevitt, who is our bond counsel. Said the agreement was good.
And I have one quick question.
Okay.
It talks about, let's see, page, just a clarification. On the second page of the yellow sheets, the board shall pay $24,000 compensation to financial advisor, blah, 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 and sell to the board of each issue of bonds issued and sold by during the term of this agreement. So will there be one issuance of bonds?
As far as I know, that's the way it occurs.
Okay, got it.
It's usually the way it's.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, item B, the following adult student to ride the bus. This is a GED student.
Okay.
Item C, the JROTC instructor annual certification agreement for the 2012-13 school year for a total of. And that is for the JROTC instructors, Dallas Plumley and Craig Atkins. Don't know if you all want to fill that in, or we'll talk about that.
We have their contracts, so that's what they.
I didn't copy from the board, I thought it would just be so confusing. About 3 different ones for each one of them.
Well, I think this, Mr. Curry brought up here, do we need to even act on that, or do they already have a 220-day, 11-month contract without us doing anything? Even have to go with
Well,
that?
I don't know, when we
I
got
don't recall
Army
the
pay.
board, I don't recall the board has
Yes.
ever approved. They
Yes.
have.
Oh, yeah, we
they
always
have-
do.
Okay.
Well, if you approve it once, though, why do you, it's the same thing, why are we having to approve it every year?
Because the Army-
Unless we
Army-
change.
JROTC instructor annual certification of pay and data form. Evidently, for us to get the Army pay, we have to submit this.
Well, but
Yeah,
you're
we have to
submitting, but
submit
that
it.
doesn't necessarily mean that the board has to act on it unless they change it. If the board changes their contract, if we were to decrease their contract in 220 days, then maybe we would have to take action. Or if we were going to increase it to 230 or 240 days, then we would take action. If we aren't doing anything differently, then I
The
think-
Army does not recognize a teacher's contract issue. I mean, not
I
for their
understand.
pay
I don't have any problem with
purposes.
you all having to turn that in
Oh,
and
okay.
decide it. I'm just
Sign
saying,
it,
why
yeah.
does the board have to approve it every year? Like,
Oh.
I asked the same question Fred does. Unless we're changing the terms of that contract, why is it necessary for the board to vote on it every year? It's automatically,
Renewed,
yes.
just by signatures, it just for whose signature goes on there.
Superintendent.
I think that's the question, isn't it, Fred?
Yes, that's the question. Why we have to do it every
10
year?
months, 200 days. 11 months, 220 days. 12 months, 240 days.
And what is it this year?
Well, that's what those gentlemen put
That's-
on here. This is.
Yeah.
No, I mean, what is it in the
There's the
current?
contention right there. Which one does Ms. Lucas sign?
Bertie, what do you got to say?
10 months, 220 days is what it needs to be, and that's what it's been for the past several years.
But that's not a choice.
Yeah.
Is it?
But see, they're trying to, again, we drive the decision. They don't drive the board's decision. You guys, you've been working for
What did
220
we
days.
approve it last year at?
Last year's the one that got messed up, but I paid them based on 220 days. I did their daily rate, just like I always did. They had sent in 11 months, the Army corrected it, they pulled the money back, they corrected it. So 10 months, 220 days. 10 calendar months of pay, 220 days of work.
So I sign one, I am to just put on there 10 months, 220 days and sign it?
I would think you could draw a line through it and initial it and then sign it. Put in what they truly are employed for.
Would you all like to look at the contracts? I don't think.
No.
No, I think we saw it last when we voted on
I will do.
I'm just, the only thing is why we're having to do it every year, that's the only thing. But now, if you're saying that there was some confusion a year ago, and maybe we need to do it this
it.
year.
Should do it this time.
To make sure it's right, and in the future, we wouldn't see it again unless some change.
Okay.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I can too.
I think last year, they got Mr. Roach to sign a contract that said 11 months.
What did the board approve it as, though?
What we suggested, and then we corrected.
But the board approved it for 10 months, 220 days. Is that correct, Brenda? And the board
Yeah.
minutes would reflect that? It didn't say that.
Well,
But we didn't
well, if I
change.
recall, we never did act on what
Yeah,
was on the agenda.
because the board did not change their
Right.
employment terms. There was some confusion, okay, that was, remember, they kind of, you guys were led to believe they were only getting paid for 200 days, I
Yeah.
remember that? So there was some confusion. The board did not change their contract. I continued to pay them at 220 days. Now, until you guys change their contract, their employment contract, just like you do, just like Trish said, as you do with every other employee, you know, until we do that, I think the Army contract needs to stay at 10 months, which is what it has been since they've been 220 days. And it's, like I said, that's what's been proven in court, through the grievance
Well, I
decision.
think that was on the agenda, but we did not vote on that.
Last year.
And so we went back to the previous year, which was 10 months and 200 days.
You are correct in that.
So that would be the same thing if we weren't to take any action now.
Yeah.
We didn't last year, didn't need to,
Right.
so why are we having to now?
Well, maybe I should suggest you talk to legal and see what they say about it. For the Army, or whoever we need to talk to. And if we need to make them a contract, we can go to the next meeting, can't we?
Well, I mean, there's nothing to prevent this annual thing from being sent in. It's just a question of whether we have to approve it every year.
Yeah,
and-
I don't think we do myself. I've been wrong once before.
A long time ago.
So you want to strike
You're
item
not making
C?
any changes?
Well, no, let's see, I don't know what to put it for. I mean, that'd be,
Make it concrete, I think.
uh,
If you did leave it on there and say it.
Well,
Not just put it in, here's what it is, and don't, not vote on it again until you change their employment contract. Then you would change the contract with the Army. But we have been operating under 10 months, 220 days for several years.
Was there ever a time back in the past that the board approved a 10-month, 220-day contract for them?
I don't know that the board approves it. I think the superintendent's just signed off.
Okay, well,
No,
maybe we
we've
need
had
to.
this on
That's-
here.
well, why don't we just go ahead, 10
Go in,
months,
I can
120
write a
days?
minute book and read it, but
It won't hurt.
No, it
Well,
won't
I mean,
hurt.
that's our intention, that's what we want.
Well, I think that would
Be the
put the
best.
statement down there too,
I
that
do
this is
too.
what we have under contract and it's going to stay.
That's true.
Give them some concrete or something.
10 months and 220 days.
And I think we need to say 10 Army calendar months. And distinguish, you know, we're talking about calendar months with the Army, not school months here, when we're saying 10.
Yeah, that's the part that confuses
Yeah,
me.
you
'cause
gotta
I know-
say 10, we want 10 months of, actually, we could say MIP reimbursement from the Army, would, I think, clarify.
Well, we want to clarify.
Because any other
Rather than the
employee of the
contract
board,
that way?
if they're working 220 days, would be working 11 months. A teacher that worked 220 would be working 11 months, right?
Yeah, but you're just.
I know, I'm
yeah,
just saying
The
that.
daily rate is, it's the same no matter how many days you work. And I just, and again, I just need, I know what the daily rate is, and then I just have to calculate how much they need to give me.
I know we've heard.
So you're saying 10 MIP
Monthly.
contract, monthly
Payments.
payments.
Yeah, let's clarify
220 days. Monthly payment.
Just 200, we're just, you know, and then we're going from 220, or 10-month calendar Army, and now we're going to school, and we're just a 220-day employee.
Could you read how it states now, Trish?
No, I'm trying. It would be a JROTC instructor annual certification agreement for the 2012-13 school year for a total of 10 MIP monthly payment.
Months or just MIP
Monthly
months?
payments for 220 days. Right?
That's what
I think so.
MIP monthly.
Installments, maybe? Does that sound better? Lease payments? Lease purchase? No, I'm teasing.
We don't say Army, we don't put,
We could say Army MIP.
that's Army MIP. Monthly payments.
Monthly installment.
Monthly installments.
Yeah, maybe we won't have to deal with it when we clarify here. Oh, okay.
But it,
Rebecca and I understand, Rebecca Tenders and I understand it. I understand it's just like I do everybody.
you think we're past C?
We're past the
Past that.
Okay. D, additional employment days as follows for the month of June, 2012. Salaries paid from county funds. I think there is a letter in here from Mr. Sachs regarding these days.
No, Mr. Lewis, I do really appreciate that he made a chart and showed us what these extra days were, because many times we're asked to approve extra days and we don't have a clue what they're for. But I have a little bit of concern because we're approving about 11 days that's already been worked. I'm approving them after the fact. That always makes me uncomfortable. And perhaps it couldn't be helped. I'm just a little concerned about that.
And I think that was with regard to some of the reports that had to be done. They had a deadline. And I think we had mentioned before that, just in general conversation, that Ms. Gandy, we had a meeting the other day, and previously, in the years past, there had been a chart regarding numbers of days that principals, assistant principals needed to work prior to school beginning and at the close. Well, as you all know, in the last couple of years, there has been a change at the high school both years. And after school began, and the principal would have worked several of those days prior to the next one taking over after school began. And that's what has occurred. Now, we are going to bring a chart back to you guys, actually, next board meeting, I think was when we decided, was it, Ms. Gandy?
I was on vacation, Trish, and I.
Well, no, you were the one that gave me that chart on how it was in the
before. So you want to kind of come back like it was before?
We had talked about that, and we talked about that again today a little.
And I think we need to look at custodians also, giving them a work schedule.
So,
Okay.
I mean, but really what's happened here is the individuals that had these positions worked the number of days beyond, or not beyond their count or contract, but they worked a number of days.
Yes.
Up front.
Right.
And
then-
Frank used all the days.
Used
Yes.
up the days, and so when the new people came about, they aren't available. for
They
that.
were not available, you're right. That's what happened. 2 years, actually, it happened.
But now, even if the same people had stayed in those positions, unless you have something like you're contemplating doing here, wouldn't the same thing could have, if they worked those extra days back in July or August of last year, then they would have come up here in June and say, hey, we've got to get this work done before school's out, so I'm gonna have to work some more days.
May not have happened, Mr. Priestley, because they had their own, I guess, schedule in their mind, how they were going to plan that year, you know, through maybe some, through Thanksgiving, maybe some days through Christmas or spring break. It would not have come up. Where you put a new person in, their whole schedule in their mind was a little bit different, especially, you know, with Mr. Sachs, who had not been a principal before, and not realizing, you know, what all had happened. And we've talked to the principals about this, and as he said, he would be planning differently next year.
Yeah, I questioned at least about this, with an understanding that this would be one and done. You plan for, you know, for this next year so that we don't end up in this situation. Something
Right,
understood.
yes.
Okay.
Item E, the contract with RISA 2 to provide the technical assistance and to provide the administrative and other support to Lincoln County Schools food service program according to the terms of the contract. And this will be July 1, 2012 through June 30th, 2013. That's attached. I think you will see that if we would decide otherwise, we could change that contract.
But they'll actually do the hiring for Trish.
Yes, they did. They, yes. F, the out-of-state travel for the following personnel. Katie Pritchard to Nashville, Tennessee, July 9th through 15th, 2012, to attend the Carnegie Learning National Math Institute. And that is being paid from Title I funds. I think you might have Title VI, and that was just a mistake of Title I funds. Mr. Sachs, Ms. McComas, Ms. Mullins, Mr. Griffith, Ms. Porter will be going to Los Angeles, California, July 21st to the 25th to attend freshman career choices.
Focus on. I've got the two words run together.
Oh, okay.
Focus on freshmen.
I thought maybe there was the name of an
That's what I thought for a
organization.
second.
California took that award.
Yeah, good.
Is that like a freshman academy or something?
Yes,
That's what it is.
it is a
Yeah,
freshman academy.
bullying, I mean, there's several things that's tied into this.
So that, you think that they're going to try to institute this out there?
Yeah, that's the point.
Yes, they are.
That's Title I.
Title, no, that one is correct, Title VI funding. Mr. Brunny will be attending the Model Schools Conference in Orlando, Florida, June 23rd through the 27th, and that's being paid through special education funds. Mr. Plumley, Lieutenant Colonel Plumley, will be attending the JROTC curriculum, training on that at Fort Knox, June the 3rd to the 8th, and that's being paid by the Army. Mr. Elliott, Ms. Elkins, Ms. Fry will be going to Kansas City, June 22nd through the 27th, 2012, to transport and chaperone students participating in the Skills US National Competition. You probably recall the alien coming to request assistance.